It is overtime here at Old Favorite Friday, where we are continuing the conversation about another classic, incredible Belgian-style ale in Rochefort 10. Now, I am joined by Keith DeLoach, one of my partners here at Barrel Amongst. Keith, you are not on camera as often. I've pulled Bill onto this thing a couple times. Ralph is here a lot. But I'm happy to have you here. You are a Belgian beer fan, right? You wouldn't have opened a Belgian brewery if you don't like Belgian beer. We're going to talk about Rochefort 10 here in a second, but is there something about Belgian beer that spoke to you like early on and the reason why you were so passionate about it?
Yeah, for sure. So back in the day before craft beer really got started, particularly down here in South Florida, it was a go-to beer for me. It was something that went really well with food. It resonated with craft beer in itself. And it just stood out in the crowd from all the things that were going on here in South Florida. So I still love it to this day, and I'm glad that we're featuring it.
Yeah, so I mean, this is the thing. So my partners, Bill, Matt, Keith, started brewing on a back patio a long time ago. Loved these styles of beer. Traveled to Belgium, and we're talking about Rochefort 10 specifically here. And this is one of the things I love about this beer. A lot of people, and I mentioned this on the shorter video, West Legend 12, kind of the pinnacle, like the greatest beer. It was for the longest time the highest rated beer in the world on Beer Advocate. Belgian quadruple, right? Rochefort 10, Belgian quadruple, more widely available. We could get it in the U.S., albeit in smaller amounts, right? In classic, in smaller beer stores and things like that. For my money, this is the best Belgian quad. And I know it's like 1A, 1B, or like 9.9 and 10. I think this is really one of the best representations of a Belgian quad. Is this up there in that pantheon for you?
Yeah, so I have a lot of friends who we always talk about if we were stranded on an island and we could only pick 4 or 5 beers to take with us, this would fit that category. This Rochefort 10 has been one of my favorites forever. And saying 9.9 or 10, I agree. It's a rock star of a beer,
Yeah. And we do that, and it's almost a little bit like a pitfall in the fact that you don't want to, defame one beer to say one's better, but there's a difference between being, great beers and one that you just slightly prefer over another. One of the reasons why I prefer this beer, not over West Legend 12 or any other club, but one of the I love this beer is the fact that it is a true quadruple in a Belgian style, and the fact that it is relatively dry for the style. It's not cloyingly sweet. And I know I beat this drum over and over again on these videos, but in the Belgian brewing tradition, your quads, your triples, your doubles are almost always drier than the American equivalents. And we've always wanted to do that with Barrel Amongst beer because we believe we're trying to do the classic style. But this is so drinkable for a quadruple. It's 11.2%. I mean, are you getting 11.2% on this? Isn't this a dangerous beer, Keith?
Oh, it definitely is. It's not a boozy beer, and it's one of those that you could knock back 2 or 3 and then have that moment, oh, wow. So it is a little bit dangerous. And the fact that it's not super sweet, it really lends itself to a lot of the different foods that I love. Whether it's something on the barbecue, whether it's something lighter, or just this is so full of flavor, you can drink it by itself all day. So yes, it's up there on all those categories.
I can imagine, I'm thinking right now, a nice steak with like a demi-glace sauce, maybe a blue cheese crust on a filet mignon.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be pretty killer, wouldn't it?
It would be delicious. And I do that often, by the way. So it's a great beer. It a lot of times takes the place for wine. You have a bottle of wine, go for the Rochefort. It works. In my mind, it works better in a lot of cases.
So that's a really great point, Keith. Have you converted any wine drinkers to beer personally with a beer like Rochefort 10?
Many. Particularly our double here that we have at Barrel Amongst. But yes, I tell people, especially the people that don't like beer, I'll sit this in front of them and I'll pair it with a food, and they have that oh my God moment, and it's blast off from that point forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is a gateway beer, and this style of beer is a gateway beer. One of the other things we love about Belgian styles, but there's no one watching this video that is not a craft beer fan. You don't get here by accident. So the people that are watching this, you might not be a big fan of Belgians, or it might not be your favorite style. I would guess many of you would really like this beer if you're following Barrel Amongst in general. But this is when you have your family over for Thanksgiving or Christmas. This is the kind of beer you want to pull out and go, oh, okay, I know you didn't like that IPA. I know you didn't love that lager. You thought it was kind of flavorless, blah, 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 blah. The sours are too much for you. This is the beer you pull out with Thanksgiving dinner and you go, just try this. Put a little bit of that in your glass. And at the very least, what I would usually get in that situation is like, I'm still not a big beer fan, but I kind of liked that. And then I feel like that's the wedge that within 2 or 3 years, you're going to be on beer forums and rating stuff on Untapped. right?
Yeah, no, I agree. It can be that everyday beer for us craft beer drinkers, but for those that are not, it can be a special occasion beer, like you said, whether it's Thanksgiving or some other holiday. And again, I go back to the food aspect of it. It goes with a lot of different dishes. You mentioned steak, but hell, it'll work with turkey or fish or a lot of different sauces. So yeah, it's amazing all around.
So we always highly recommend a beer. I mean, we wouldn't be talking about this beer if we didn't highly recommend this beer. But listen, if you haven't had a Rochefort 10 in a while, if this is a beer that you had years and years ago that got you into craft beer, go grab one. Try it again. Just revel in the complexity, the flavor, the fig, the chocolate, the caramel, just the amazing nature of a beer like this. Understand that you can put this down for a couple years. It's going to age like fine wine. Go pick one up. We would love to hear your comments about that, of you picking the beer up and enjoying it. And please tell us what we should be talking about next week on Old Favorite Friday, and poke around on other videos here on YouTube and see other beers that we're talking about, other beers that you might love just as much. We'll see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers. Happy Friday.